This demonstration is designed to do in pencil. So first I'm choosing this red color to represent the underdrawing. And the first part of your underdrawing should be an oval or an upside down egg shape. That's going to represent the head. And now I'm adding two straight lines coming down fairly wide to represent the neck. Now I'm marking out the halfway point of the head. Once I think I have that right, then I'm drawing that halfway line all the way across the head for the eye line. Next, I'm going to divide the bottom half of the face again in half, and that will represent where the nose will end. Now I'm going to divide that bottom section in half again, and that's going to represent the center of the mouth. So I just added an oval on top and an oval on bottom to show the top and bottom lips, and then the chin underneath. Now I'm adding ovals to represent not only the two actual eyes, but the 5 imaginary eyes that would fit across the head. So 5 eyes is the width of the head. Then above that, I drew the brow line. And now I'm adding ovals to represent where the ears will go. And now the nose. I've got the bridge of the nose with a long oval, followed by a smaller oval for the ball of the nose and 2 nostrils on either side of that. And now these lines represent proportions showing straight down from the corners of the eye. Those lines represent the width of the nose. And from the center of the eye, I also drew 2 lines down that are going to represent the corners of the mouth once we have the mouth all the way laid in. So this is the basic underdrawing showing all the proportions of the head and the features. I've now switched to a black digital tool, and this is going to represent the lines that I'm going to draw over that underdrawing to show the planar analysis lines. So I've started with the center of the nose, first the center of the bridge of the nose, then the plane of the nose where it angles back into the face. So I've got that straight line, which I'm going over again, and then up from to show where the nose connects to the brow. Now I'm doing the 2 side planes of the nose and connecting those to that bottom plane of the nose. So I've got this middle kind of rhombus shape, the rhombus shape underneath it, and the 2 side planes. Now I've moved on to the eyes, so I've made the 2 actual eyes a little bit darker, so they're kind of ovals. And now I'm drawing in the eye socket around them. So the important thing to remember about the eye socket is that it is angling back and into the head. I'm now drawing in some of the details of the eyelid around the eye, and then connecting the eyelid to the eye socket around it. So notice those angles where the eye socket connects up to that brow line. I've got several diagonals, and those are also extending into the eyelid as well. So as I'm adding these angles, I'm looking at the example over to the side, as well as looking in the mirror as you're doing this at home. I'm now moving to the lips. I connected the lips to the bottom of the nose with that divot that you'll feel between your nose and the lips. And then I did the divot at the very top of your lips, followed by the side planes of the lips. Now the lower lip, which also has that middle section and then the 2 side sections. And notice that the lips are now as wide as the center of the eyeball. So they touch those vertical lines I drew earlier. Underneath the mouth, there's a divot and then the chin sticking out, and then the chin rounds back. So I'm now connecting the bottom of the chin to the jawline. And I'm drawing that as an angle that goes up to the same level as the mouth line, the center of the mouth. Because if you think about how your mouth and jaw function, the jaw opens the mouth, so it's right in line with the center of the two lips. I then connected the sides of the face from the brow line down to the jawline with angles, and now I'm connecting the forehead as well. So I started with the top of the hairline, so it's not at the very top of that initial oval, but a little bit down from it. And now I'm going back and adding the outside plane of the head, which is as tall as that original oval. At this point, you would want to double check that your eyes are still halfway up the head. If somehow things have gotten distorted and the eyes are no longer at that center line, or the chin has gotten quite a bit longer and the eyes are no longer halfway up, you would want to fix that. Otherwise, I also added a center and side plane to the neck. And now I'm adding some more details to the ears. As I'm adding this top detail to the ear, I'm thinking about it as an ellipse. So if you looked at the ear from the side, it would be an oval, but in this side view, well, it's a front view of the head, but we're looking at the ears from the side, really, if you think about the structure of the ear. The top of it is an ellipse. And then we've got this center part of the ear coming out from that ellipse. So we're thinking about where it goes under that top ridge of the form of the ear. Okay, so now I've got most of the details of my face and planar analysis added in. So I've gone back and I've changed to a darker digital drawing tool. So this would be where you would change to either your ebony pencil, or if you've chosen to do this in pen or in charcoal, you would switch to one of those materials. And at this point, I might stop and make modifications, see where I might have made mistakes. And then once I've made those modifications, now I'm just adding contrast. So that's what I'm doing in the demonstration. So not only am I going over those planar lines, but I'm also adding in some shading. So that bottom plane of the nose is darker than the center or side planes. Now again, I'm outlining the details of the eye. So we've got the white part of the eye, and then we've got the eyelid wrapping around and over it. The white part is really a sphere that's embedded in the eye socket. Now doing the same thing with the other eye. And then once I connect those details of the eyelid to the eye socket, you'll see how they relate. Also see how that lower lid comes underneath and behind that lower lid, or the upper lid, I mean. Now I'm adding in those diagonal lines that are showing how the eye socket angles into the head. So it's going back and in. So just like on a box, you would have diagonal lines to show that depth of space going toward or away from the viewer. The same thing is happening now in the head. So first I outlined that divot underneath the nose, and now I'm outlining the center part of the top lip and then the side planes, which wrap sort of around and back, with that center part of the mouth pushing out and forward the most. Same thing in the bottom lip. We've got the center part protrudes and then the two side planes. And then underneath the lips here is that divot. And then the chin pops out again. And now I'm actually connecting the bottom of the chin to this side plane of the face. So this line is showing how the center part of the face protrudes more and the sides of the head are flattened. So the head is not a ball or a sphere, but it's more like a ball that's been flattened at the sides and elongated. So now I am connecting the chin and the jaw to the side planes of the face. And notice those details that I drew at the bottom of the jaw and the chin. That's showing where the jaw and the chin angles back. So it doesn't just stop flat, it curves back underneath. Now I am making those details of the ear pop out a little bit more. So again, you would want to look at your ear as you do some of these details. And now I'm adding that inside part of the ear. So you don't have to do all of the shapes and the complex forms of the ear, but I just did the basic forms of the ear. Then with the top of the head, I'm also adding contrast, and again at the hairline and where the head curves back from the forehead. So again, the forehead pops out the most at the center, and then the head angles back and flattens out on the sides. At the neck, again, I'm adding contrast, and again, the center of the neck pops out the most, and then the two side planes would angle back. Underneath the neck, then you're seeing the very top of the shoulders, and you've got the collarbone. And now I'm going to add some more shading to give a little bit more depth to this. So I'm shading the top lip, which angles back. I'm shading underneath the chin and underneath the jaw where the head angles back and curves back. The side planes of the face, as I mentioned earlier, curve back. So I'm just using light shading there since it's not as dramatic a change. You'll notice here that I'm using just very rough hatching. So if you're doing this shading in pencil, you can lay it in quickly, but you would think about the direction, so you'd be a little bit more careful, and then later on you could blend that a little bit to make it cleaner. But for the sake of speed, I'm just laying in this shading quickly with hatching and cross hatching. So it's just a rough sketch. Now I'm also adding in some additional lines that I'd skipped earlier. So connecting the outside of the nose to the corners of the mouth and adding some shading there. And that's showing the musculature around the mouth. Now shading the outside parts of the neck. So again, that curved form is closest to the viewer in the center and then curving back at the two sides. So the shading shows that. Now just cleaning, also adding some shading to the ears. So the ears sit back farther on the head. They're more than halfway back on the head, so shading those in. And just cleaning things up. So again, you want to keep looking at your drawing as you go and asking yourself periodically if the proportions look right, what kind of things you would want to change. So I was just noticing that ear was sticking out a little bit too much, so I erased and redrew. And now I'm going to add some more shading to the areas that you would see having the most depth on the face. So the chin goes back quite a bit to the neck. The area below the chin, or I'm sorry, not just below the chin, but above the chin, underneath the lips was quite dark. And then the very darkest area on the face is the eye sockets. So that is the part of the head that goes back the furthest as far as the features on the face. And so I'm just adding some additional shading there. And then the jaw and chin is also another area where you're going to see the most depth. So the chin or the neck is set back quite a bit from the chin and the jaw. Now I'm going back and adding additional contrast around the eyes. So even though you're adding shading, you don't want those lines to disappear the way they might if we were doing a realistic drawing. So the planar analysis is a style of drawing that is using abstraction to make the forms of the object more apparent and help us understand those complex areas of depth and form in an organic object. So it's not meant to be photorealist, and because of that, we actually want these lines to stand out. So I am going back and not only cleaning up some of this underdrawing and some of the sketchiness, but I'm also going back and making sure that the lines still have enough contrast so you can really clearly see these planes of the face. And with that, we have our planar analysis almost complete, as if we built this head out of cardboard and we had to create angles to show any curves.